Now looking towards the southern border, we reported yesterday that the president is sending an additional 5,200 troops to the southern border to assist Border Patrol with stopping this mob of migrants when they arrive. We are now seeing reports that the second caravan from Guatemala is picking up the pace as they make their way through Mexico, and around 2,000 migrants. My next guest says, on top of sending more troops, President Trump has a wide range of legal power he has yet to use that can end this caravan circus right now. Joining me now is the executive director of the Immigration Reform Law Institute, Dale Wilcox. Dale, it's good to see you again.
Good to see you, Greg.
So, Dale, I believe that this is a real serious problem that we have. We've got this first caravan. The second caravan, I've seen that they're concocting Molotov cocktails. Some of them have firearms as they make their way to the Guatemalan-Mexican border. And we know that from the first caravan, they're not afraid to use violence to get through the places they want to get through.
You're absolutely right. Make no mistake. This is an invasion, as the president said on Monday. These individuals amongst this group of people, and of course the mainstream media will show you all the women and children amongst the group, but mainly these groups are made up of working age men, military age men actually, and many criminal aliens amongst them and gang members. There are three groups currently, and they're about 7,000 strong, and the first group is about 1,000 miles away from the U.S. border and are likely to arrive within a week.
Yeah, so when you just look at that video there's nothing short of an invasion. They're literally pushing their way through armed security, armed guards, federal agents there. They'll stop at nothing. So you say the president has some tools, Tim. You know, he made news. We talk about Blockbuster. The media called it Blockbuster News, that the president said he's going to use executive order to do away with birthright citizenship. We could debate that on and on and on. What is not debatable, Dale, is that birthright citizenship is the draw for many of these people.
Oh, absolutely it is, because what happens is the kids are born here, and then later they sponsor their parents to come to or to legalize. So it's a big draw, but it's a big drain on the American public. The Center for Immigration Studies in 2010 produced a study that said that they cost Americans $2.4 billion a year. At that time, there were 400,000 children born to illegal aliens in this country every year. Imagine that. We're adding 400,000 in addition to the 1.5 million legal immigrants that we allow in this country every year. We cannot sustain this.
All right, so I can tell you for sure that was written as far as the ability to have birthright citizenship, not for Chinese and Russian dissidents to come in and have babies, not for Mexican and Guatemalan immigrants to come in and have babies. Yet that's exactly what's happening.
You're right. You're right. It's the 14th Amendment is what we're talking about, and it was enacted after the Civil War, and it granted former freed black slaves citizenship, and that's what it was for. It was for the children of black slaves. It was not, as the media is reporting and so-called scholars, to legalize anyone who's born in the United States. We have exceptions already. We've always had exceptions. In fact, when the amendment was issued, there was an exception for Indians and Indian tribes. Congress later changed that and granted Indian citizenship, but we've always had exceptions. It's ridiculous to say that someone who's not allowed to be in this country can have a baby here, and that baby should have citizenship. It makes no sense whatsoever, and that's not what the 14th Amendment was designed for. But it's not even how it's written. It's written in a way that it doesn't cover illegal aliens or tourists.
Yeah. So to get to the bottom of all of this, I don't know what's going to play out with that. The courts are going to have to decide. There's no doubt that there's going to be arguments on either side. I do know what the president did. He focused the conversation back on immigration, which is what the people of America want to be talking about moving into the election, which is just less than a week away now on next Tuesday. He turned the conversation. In some respects, I do think he's trolling the media and the left. I mean, he sent them into the stratosphere, and it makes me smile because he knows exactly what he's doing. It's about the conversation, isn't it?
It is. It is. But remember, this is national security. Like with the Caravan, last year we deported 17,000 criminal aliens at the border who tried to cross unlawfully. 17,000. Amongst those 7,000 that are now headed toward the U.S., guaranteed, it's been proven there are criminal aliens in there. There are terrorists, I'm sure, who are trying to come in. There are people from Middle Eastern countries trying to sneak in with the Caravan. So the president is right to address this issue now. It's a national security issue. It's an assault on the rule of law, on nationhood, and on order itself. The president is right in what he's doing.
All right. So I have friends that have been down there with the Caravan. They've interviewed numerous felons. They've interviewed numerous people who've been deported on multiple occasions from the United States trying to get back in. One, which we played on this air, is a felon for attempted murder, and he said he's going to come here and ask for a pardon. These are the kind of things and people that we are seeing trying to make their way up here. This is a dangerous bunch. What do you recommend now? We're sending, 5,200 troops, something like that, down to the border. They're going to be there in a logistical role. What do you recommend the United States do once this Caravan arrives?
Well, the president has powers under the Immigration and Nationality Act to suspend entry of any class of aliens, any class of aliens in the national interest. That's what the president needs to do. He's got to stop them at the border, turn them around. He has the power to shut down the border. The Supreme Court recently upheld that power, Section 212F under the INA, when it ruled that his travel ban was constitutional. So he needs to shut down the border. He's sending additional help down to the border. We have 15,000 Border Patrol agents already there. He's sending down 5,200 military troops down there to assist. And he can, there are various other things he can do, small fixes here and there. He's creating tent cities. So we have this catch and release policy currently that Obama publicized and thankfully or unthankfully has caused this surge. But he's creating tent cities so that we can detain them until their hearing. If they legitimately claim, and the USCIS officer finds that they have a legitimate claim for asylum, we'll hold them until their hearing instead of releasing them into the interior. Because what happens when you release them into the interior? They never show up for their hearing.
No, they never do. There's no doubt in my mind, and we've proven it by following the money. Left-wing groups are funding much of the movements of these caravans. This is just a sign of open borders and what would come with Democratic leadership. Dale Wilcox, I appreciate you being here for us to help break all this down. Thank you. It's always a pleasure having you on the program.
Thanks for having me.